And welcome in everyone to this week's episode of Craze's Corner. We're going to be talking about some surprises from week one, some positives, some negatives, and how we think they're going to impact the rest of the fantasy football season. So you're going to want to make sure you stay tuned for that. But first, we have a few news stories we want to talk about. The first news story is that Dak Prescott is going to be out for some time, and it really depends on who you ask how much time he's going to be out for. Mike McCarthy was talking earlier. His doctor says it's going to be about 8 to 10 days of recovery before you start to practice again. We've heard other doctors say it's a 6 to 8 week thing. I think he'll probably be back around that 3 to 4 weeks. They didn't place him on IR because Jerry Jones is confident he'll be back before then. But hopefully they don't rush him in. And until then, Cooper Rush is going to be the starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, with Will Greer being the backup. Next news is that TJ Watt is going to be out for around 6 weeks with a pec tear. It's extremely unfortunate, as he was the leader of this Pittsburgh Steelers defense that was able to upset the Cincinnati Bengals this past week. But hopefully they don't miss him for too long and he can come back fully healthy in that 6 week time. And the third story, and probably a very impactful story for fantasy football, is that Elijah Mitchell is out at least 2 months with a knee injury. They just placed him on IR today. So he will be back later on in the season. But for now, it is going to be the Jeff Wilson show. They just signed Marlon Mack, the practice squad, who's a guy I think is a good running back. I think he will be getting involved later on in the season. But for this week, I think it's going to be Jeff Wilson. He was by far the biggest fantasy football waiver wire pickup this week. I saw him go for 70 fab in some leagues, 50 fab in other leagues. People are all over Jeff Wilson. What do you guys think about Jeff Wilson? You can let us know using the Media app. The Media app is a virtual press conferencing app that allows you to host a virtual press conference from your phone. The new version of the app just dropped. It is huge. You can replace your own background. There's so many things you can do. You can ask questions, answer questions to anyone on the app. So you definitely need to go check that out, and you can let us know who you think is going to be the RB1 for the San Francisco 49ers moving forward. Will it be Jeff Wilson? Will it be someone we've never heard of? Maybe they're going to get their fourth-round rookie involved, but I want to know what you guys think. So let us know using the Media app. And let's bring in our guests now. We have Zach from Ocean State and Jeff from Media. Zach, big Jeff Wilson guy. You excited for Jeff Wilson's opportunity here, or you think that the 49ers are just going to do this whole running back by committee thing?
Are you going to really question if the 49ers are going to be crazy with their running backs? Come on, man. It's the 49ers. You know better than that. No, this is just great for the brand. Anytime Jeff Wilson gets brought up in the, starting running back category again, generally things get a little exciting for your boy, as he is my solo NFL follower and just an overall great guy from just the few combos I've had with him. So with that being said, I'm all in on Jeff Wilson this week. I'm not all in on some of those ridiculous fab bids that people are putting in, but yeah. I've also fell victim to having $90 of my $100 budget come week 12. So I can understand why people want to spend the money while they have it. I don't know if he's going to be able to give you long-term value, but I think out of the 49ers backs that I would want to have in my starting lineup, it's for sure Jeff Wilson.
Yeah, I agree with that. For now, gotta talk to him about joining the app. Maybe Jeff could pull that angle on there for you. But Jeff, what do you think about Jeff Wilson? Are you in on Jeff Wilson, or are you out because they're gonna have umpteen people carrying the
ball? I'm actually in on him because I think he might be the only one that can stay healthy. That's why I wasn't surprised about Elijah Mitchell going down. I was just like, it wasn't a matter of if, it was when. And again, it was that first fateful week for fantasy owners. So,
yeah, it's tough. I think he's going to have that immediate impact, but bringing in Marlon Mack, they did just draft a rookie in the 4th round, Davis Price. So it's something that we've seen from them before. They're going to run their guy till he gets hurt, and when he gets hurt, they're just going to run the next guy, and Deebo Samuel is going to keep getting more and more involved in that backfield as the season progresses and more running backs get hurt. Kind of pretty much exactly what we saw last year. So that's
exactly.
Kind of more of the same for the 49ers.
That's it.
But as we said, we're going to be talking about some breakout or some week one surprises. Some of these guys are breakouts. Some of these guys were absolute duds. I'm going to start off on more of a positive note. for the most part, I'm going to talk about the Eagles' offense. Really surprised me this past week. We saw Jalen Hurts throw for 243. He ran for 90 and a touchdown. That we had some pretty good production out of him. Catching the ball, A.J. Brown, 10 receptions on 13 targets, 155 yards, which was insane. 44% target share, which is obviously a number that's got to come down. And Jalen Hurts can't support having all but 100 of his passing yards go to A.J. Brown. That's not something that's going to happen week in, week out.
Mm-hmm.
And Devonta Smith was 0 of 4. He had 4 targets, no receptions. Only positive regression, and that's what we talked about last week for Miles Sanders. He could only get better, and he did. He had 96 and a touchdown. So looking at this offense as a whole, I think that they worked very well together. I was surprised with how well A.J. Brown did. I thought he was going to maybe go for 100 and a touchdown, but he went for 155. And all of the 3 running backs for this Eagles offense scored, whether that was Miles Sanders or Kenneth Gainwell or Boston Scott. And Jalen Hurts also got in with those rushing touchdowns. So that's really how they were scoring last week. Jalen Hurts, I expect to be more of the same, just under 250 passing yards. Maybe those rushing yards drop a bit week in, week out. Miles Sanders, I liked what I saw, 52% of the snap share. Encouraging, but he got the carries and he got a touchdown. Also had 2 targets, nothing of note, but is something that can add fantasy PPR value. A.J. Brown's numbers got to come down. Devonta Smith's numbers got to go up. Devonta Smith was on the field for 96% of the snaps. A.J. Brown was only on the field for 80-something% of the snaps. So when you look at it that way, A.J. Brown was on the field less, but got ball way more. So I think that this offense did really good, but they're also playing a bad defense.
Yes.
So don't get too excited about what we saw from A.J. Brown this week. I am concerned with Devonta Smith. What do you guys think about the Eagles offense? Are you in on Jalen Hurts? Zach, I know you're a big Jalen Hurts fan here. Do you think he's going to be able to replicate this kind of production with A.J. Brown? Or do you think that there is some regression coming due to the fact that it was a bad defense, high-scoring game?
Yeah, I don't see Devonta Smith going 4 for 0 again. So I guess from that perspective, yeah, I guess you can see some natural regression. But, I mean, you mentioned it. Every running back scored a touchdown on this team, including Jalen Hurts. And still A.J. Brown was able to feast. So it's like, what more of a scenario do we need to have for A.J. Brown to not continue his dominance, right? I guess just a better defender. So, yeah, I don't know. It's like chicken or egg, right? Is this Jalen Hurts that he's always been? He just never had the wide receiver like A.J. Brown? Or is A.J. Brown just completely elevating Jalen Hurts level and just kind of like we see with other wide receivers do for mediocre quarterbacks?
Mm-hmm. Jeff, what do you think about this offense as a whole? What are your thoughts on whether it's Jalen Hurts, Miles Sanders, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith?
Well, you know, looking at A.J. Brown, I actually owe him an apology because I said I didn't know if he was a true number 1 wide receiver. And he basically proved, I mean, there are a couple of those catches, man, he had, he was actually decently covered and he was able to go up and get it. So I'm buying both Hurts. Matter of fact, I've always liked Hurts. I actually wanted the Steelers to pick him up to be the replacement for Ben when he came out of Oklahoma. But, you know, I don't know why he gets so much slander, you know, after what he did last year. I'm like, if he's scoring touchdowns, he's scoring touchdowns, whether it's with his legs or whether it's with his arm. Now he's proven he can actually do both. Again, it was the Lions, but I think it's going to continue, man. I think he's actually I would say he's a good quarterback. I'm not just going to say he's a middling guy. I'm going to say he's a good quarterback. I'd take him over Baker Mayfield. Let me put it like that.
I think Zach would too.
Yeah, I think I would as well. I want to see in the red zone, they got to let him throw the ball more. I don't want to see 4 rushing touchdowns from this team again, one from different people. That is not what we need to see from Jalen Hurts. We got to get these passing touchdowns up. 16 last year. If he doesn't get those numbers up, A.J. Brown will have some problems with his consistency throughout the year. Zach, we'll move on to your next story next. Heartbreaking story. Zach almost cried on the weekend.
Well, I didn't almost cry. I very much did shed tears. So just real quick before I get into why this is the biggest surprise of the week for me, I do a little bit of gambling on Sundays, and I like to do the in live games, as it's happening. And Vegas had some crazy odds with the Bears, plus 1,000 at a certain point when they were losing to the 49ers. We had, so basically I had the Saints, Bears, Bengals, and Colts, all as the underdogs. So this was a huge payout. It was like $5 I put down. Would have been a really nice payday. Saints get the job done. Bears somehow get the job done. And here I am. Let's go double box. And I got Bengals on one side and I got Colts on the other. I got my wife going giddy, thinking about where we're going to go on vacation with this little parlay we are about to hit on. I'm like, these guys are professional athletes getting paid millions of dollars to simply kick a ball through a giant yellow post. And we have the kick. Oh, wide left. Have a kick off the post. And I just crumbled. So my biggest surprise is that we have humans that have one job when they go on the field and represent the NFL and still can't get that done. I mean, I don't want to hear the long snapper story. I don't want to hear any excuses. You don't have to worry about whether the safety is showing it's a cover 3. You don't have to worry about a defensive end coming to kill you. All you have to do is kick a ball through a giant post, and you can't even do that. So yeah, kickers. I'm Evan McPherson. You're done. You're dead to me. Rodrigo Blankenship. I hope you forever stay in the unemployment line.
Oh man!
So we got. I would give McPherson a little bit of a break, switching up the long snapper, getting a guy who doesn't do that very often, throws off the timing of a kick, so he gets a little bit of a break. Blankenship does not get any break. He's shown that he sucks at kicking field goals in the past, and now that he lost them a game.
I'm like, you never trust a kicker with goggles or glasses.
You never trust a grown man with goggles. That should be something.
This is another reason why you shouldn't have kickers in your fantasy football leagues. I don't want to see it. Zach lost out on lots of money due to these kickers. In your fantasy football leagues, you shouldn't lose out on money due to kickers.
I lost the game.
You're not. No one's going and analyzing these kickers. You lose a long snapper. It shouldn't cost you a fantasy football game. Kickers lose points before missing field goals in certain scoring formats. There's no reason that the Bengals losing their long snapper should cost you a fantasy football win. I can't have it.
Real quick, though, before we wrap this up, has that ever happened before? Or am I just the most unluckiest person ever to watch a simultaneous overtime? Both games are in overtime, and both kicks were to win the game. And they both miss them within a minute of, I think it was 2 minutes apart. They missed their kicks.
So they both missed them. And then Chris Boswell missed his. And then McPherson missed another one. Like, watching these games last weekend was absolutely killing me because McPherson also missed the extra point before overtime. He could have won the game for the Bengals, and he missed the extra point, missed a game-winning field goal. Boswell missed one, and then he missed one again. You had the missed kicks in the Indianapolis game. There was missed kicks all over the field. And I'm sitting here at home, like, extra points, a 33-yard kick. That's something that high school kickers, that's stuff I was doing in high school. Regularly, that's not a problem. And these guys can't seem to get it done. I don't want kickers in my fantasy football leagues.
Get them out.
Get them out. Zach's on my side now.
Yep. Wait a minute. You just won week 1 because of a kicker against me.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, that was on you, bro. I wasn't running with a kicker. I wasn't running a kicker. Sunday afternoon comes along. Jeff wasn't running a kicker either. Jeff has picked up a kicker. I'm like,
strategy.
I guess I should probably pick up a kicker now. Jeff's kicker played Sunday night. You got like 7 points, whatever. My kicker plays Monday night. I picked the highest projected kicker because I'm not analyzing these kickers. I'm not going out, this kicker, he's got the best chance on Sundays to whatever. Don't care. I go pick up highest projected kicker on the waiver wire. He plays Monday night, scores me 11 points. I win the week by 4. But it was just under 4 points is what I won by. It was like 3.96. My kicker had 11, Jeff's kicker had 7. So if neither of us had picked up a kicker, Jeff would have beat me by like 0.04 points. So Jeff screwed himself out of a win. And the league settings really screwed you out of a win, Jeff. I'm not excited that I won that game by a kicker. It's the league. You gotta go talk to the guys running that league and tell them to get rid of kickers. And
I
probably
might
doing
do
better
that now, definitely.
Yeah, exactly. So we're all on the same page. Kickers suck. Get them out of your fantasy football leagues. Jeff, let's move on to your first surprise of week 1. Let's hear it.
Man, it wasn't Sunday. It was that Thursday night game. I wasn't all the way in on Cam Akers, but if he was there at a decent round, I would have drafted him. Kind of glad I did not now, but I did draft Allen Robinson, and I'm just as mad because I don't know what the hell happened to this guy. Thought for sure it was going to be just a brand new slate for him. The old late Chicago Allen Robinson was gone. The new shiny Rams target was going to be there, and he got targeted all but 2 times, and one of them was literally the last play of the game. So I don't know what the hell the Rams were doing. That's the one thing I don't like about McVay. Sometimes he gets a little bit too cute, and I just don't know what the hell happened to the Rams. I really don't. I don't know what happened to 2 guys that should have been fantasy worthy in that game and in that matchup, and they were absolutely not playable. That's basically what they were, and it kind of gives you pause going forward with them. I'm going to stick with Allen Robinson. I probably won't start him this next game. I might. It's the Falcons, but still, I don't know. There's something is not right in the water, and I'm not testing it, especially after having a week 1 loss. So that's it. That was my surprise, and I know I wasn't the only guy surprised. That surprised a hell of a lot of other people too.
I mean, I'm not a big Allen Robinson guy myself, and I was even surprised. I think I have my record saying it. I don't care who you're playing for. If the consensus is, hey, this guy just wasn't trying hard last year, I don't want that guy on my team ever. I don't care how bad the coaching staff is. Who you can name guy after guy. Calvin Johnson, class act, in and out of he knew what he was signing up for every single season playing for Detroit, and he still gave it his all every single time. So anytime you have that kind of like conflict already going into it, I tell you right now, Cooper Kupp will play for anybody. He's going out there to give his 100% every time, and the proof is in the pudding. He's open every single play because he's just better. And honestly, I just think Allen Robinson is still like surviving in fantasy off of that one season in Jacksonville, and I don't know if he's really shown to be anything other than just a guy with untapped potential that's never really met his ceiling, I think.
I'm believing you, Zach. I've never drafted this dude before. And for some reason, when I saw him available, I was like,
it makes sense.
I might do something. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, the offense. I mean, they're Super Bowl champs, right? You figure they'd probably be a little bit better than.
Exactly. Yeah, vacated targets, Woods being gone, Go ahead, Zach.
Currently.
I can hear you, but you're frozen.
Yeah,
there you go.
There you are.
Kind of, sort of. Look like a Lego figure, but okay. Now you're good.
I'm here now.
All right.
He's here.
All right. Yeah, I think
I agree. Cam Robinson's definitely surprised.
Yeah, Cam Akers, I think, was a product of, soft tissue injuries aren't great. He had one in camp. He's just got to get back from that. I think that's what's going on with Cam Akers. He should get progressively more involved. I don't want to start him. Allen Robinson's got to get more involved this next week. He's got to do it. He needs the targets. 2 targets isn't acceptable. He's got to get more involved. Cooper Kupp can't be the only one. Tyler Higbee was next on the target share percentage, and then it was Ben, whatever the hell you pronounce his last name. Mm-hmm. I don't want him to be out-targeted by Allen Robinson. We got to get Allen Robinson back involved. He was good with his first couple years with the Bears. He was great with the Jaguars. I believe in the talent of Allen Robinson. Sean McVay said after the game they got to get him more involved. And I agree. He's got to get him more involved in this offense. He's going to be a key for them until they can get Odell Beckham back and healthy. I think Allen Robinson will get back involved. But I am huge on Allen Robinson, so maybe take that with less confidence than I have in them. But yeah, I do think Allen Robinson will come back as opposed to Cam Akers. I think it'll take a bit. But I think he will be back. Make sure he's fully healthy. He's a better running back than Darrell Henderson. But if my Wi-Fi is going to allow me, let's move on to my next selection, which is going to be the Washington football team offense. Carson Wentz, he put up some numbers this past week, 313, 4 touchdowns. We saw that he had 2 interceptions, which is kind of what we saw in Indianapolis. He has those big plays, but also those crappy plays. But they did get the win in Jacksonville. Jacksonville doesn't have a great defense, so that is something to keep in mind. Their secondary is not great. No one to really scare me. I love to see Antonio Gibson get back involved in the passing game. 7 receptions, 72 yards. That's something we need from him on a fantasy football level. He had 14 carries for 58 yards. Nothing crazy there. My guy, Curtis Samuel, I talked about him a little bit in the offseason, said he was going to be one of those sneaky late guys.
Mm-hmm.
Curtis Samuel came out week one.
Right.
11 targets, 8 receptions for 55 yards. So that's really inefficient for what he does, but he was able to score. He had 4 carries for 17 yards. Ron Rivera loves Curtis Samuel. He wants to get him involved. We saw it in Carolina, through the ground, through the air. However he can get Curtis Samuel the ball, he managed to do it. He was only on the field 77% of the time, but still managed to out-target everyone else on the team. Jahan Dotson, a rookie who I wasn't super high on in this position, he came out, 3 receptions, 40 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's great from your rookie. I don't think Carson Wentz puts up 4 touchdowns every week, so that number might come down. He might be a little more inconsistent because he's not going to get involved in the running game, and I still don't trust Carson Wentz to be able to, withstand 3 fantasy relevant wide receivers, because we also got to talk about Scary Terry, who only had 4 targets. So Dotson and Curtis Samuel both out-targeted him. 58 yards. He had more yards than both of them, but he had a touchdown, which saved his week. Terry was on the field more than the other two. So I think we got to see Terry's numbers come back up a little bit. I don't think Dotson's going to be scoring every week, let alone twice. The only thing that I do like about Samuel is the fact that they got him involved. Screens, in the backfield, handoffs, end arounds. They got him involved in a majority of different ways. So I love to see that. Kind of is what we saw from him in Carolina and why Washington brought him over and paid him. So he was my number 1 waiver wire pickup of this week because I think he will have that consistency that, Terry didn't really have this week. He only had the 2 touches. But Curtis Samuel with that rushing ability, especially until Brian Robinson comes back, I think that he's going to get more and more involved because obviously you can't trust Antonio Gibson with everything. He will fumble the ball. Curtis Samuel will not fumble the ball quite as often. So I like this offense. I like what we saw from them. I'm not really touching Wentz. Gibson looked good, but I like Curtis Samuel. Dawson surprised. And Terry underwhelmed for how well the offense did. What do you guys think about this offense? Are you riding with Carson Wentz, Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuel, or are you kind of trying to stay away because it's going to be a rocky road?
Go ahead, Jeff.
I'm actually riding with them. I've got a hot take. There's a new number 1 wide receiver in Washington, and his name is Jahan Dotson. I had already said that. This kid's hands are unbelievable. I'm trying to tell you, this dude has a set of hands. I love Scary Terry. I mean, hell, if it's not going to be Carson Wentz, whoever is at quarterback, if it's Sam Howell that ends up, coming in and taking over, he's got a hell of a wide receiver core right now with those guys, with Samuels, Scary Terry, and Dots. I'm telling you, did you see that last catch for that touchdown? It was a one-handed catch, basically. This kid's hands are ridiculous, and he's a great route runner. That's what a lot of the older guys in, wide receivers in the Hall of Fame were talking about. This guy is probably one of the sleepers in the draft at that wide receiver position. So to me, they've got a great offense. It's just going to be if Carson Wentz is able to be the Carson Wentz that was in the glory years with Philadelphia and not doing the stupid stuff that he did with the Colts. So they've got a chance. I do like their offense right now, or at least the pieces, I should say.
I totally agree. The offense surprised me. I mean, I did like Jahan Dotson come into the league. I'm not going to sit here and say I, had him as my highest, favorite wide receiver, but I did think that he was going to immediately take on. And then I think training camp, there was some buzz with him being, having instant chemistry with Wentz. And clearly that shows, like you mentioned, the hands, the catch radius. Gibson was making downfield catches. You had Scary Terry, granted it was limited, still had a pretty decent day. And with all that being said, I think that's kind of my point against Curtis Samuel. If I'm being totally honest, I don't know how Washington walks away from that game and goes, "Hey, we got to get away from Jahan Dotson." Especially when they're rookie wide receivers. Like Curtis Samuel has had time to show us film, whereas like Jahan Dotson came out guns blazing. Now maybe that's a product of him not necessarily being a target in the defensive game plan, and he's able to kind of just scheme his way open. Or maybe just Wentz just has a natural connection with him. And like you mentioned, Jeff, the catch ability, when you have a guy like Wentz who can have some rough edges, having a wide receiver that can just go up there and get it, it certainly helps.
True.
Yeah,
Oh, Zach.
absolutely. I think that if you guys can hear me, I think that this offense is just going to be too inconsistent because of the quarterback play. You're going to have different Wentz that have 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions, and that's not going to be something that you want. You're not going to be on the field long enough to support, as you guys have outlined, 3 really good receiving options. Plus, you have Gibson, McKissick out the backfield, Logan Thomas at tight end. There's a lot to go around here. So I like Samuel just due to the rushing aspect of things, gets him an extra couple points a game.
Mm-hmm.
But Zach, let's move on to your next surprise. Your Wi-Fi connection seems to be a little bit better than mine, so you should be able to run with this. But what's your second surprise from week 1?
Yeah, speaking of running with this, man, talk about running it back after tearing your Achilles just 1 season ago. And my biggest surprise is just how well James Robinson looked, and just this offense as a whole, which is kind of a good segue, right? Because it's the same game as the Jaguars-Washington game. Travis Etienne was 2 stupid drops away from being totally okay for fantasy. So let's not get too carried away here. My surprise is more on the side that we've never seen a running back other than Donta Foreman in his limited time come back from an Achilles injury like this. Look at the other case study going into the season, Cam Akers, nowhere to be found. Now, whether that's related to the Achilles injury or not, it's still, continuing the evidence of running backs can just not come back from Achilles injuries. So I think we were all tempering our expectations when the word came out that James Robinson was going to be the starter. And I'm not sure even the biggest James Robinson fan envisioned him playing as well as he did. And I think it really leaves fantasy players with even more of a headache, and just adds to the list of these running back by committees, which are just kind of seemingly taking over the NFL. So yeah, my biggest takeaway is just modern medicine. Shout out to science and technology for being able to, piece humans back together in record timing to the point where they can play professional sports. This is an undrafted free agent too. So it's not like he's some super worldly athlete. He's just, he was just a guy at a certain point, and a guy that tore his Achilles, and he comes back and shows you he can still do it week 1. So yeah, shout out James Robinson.
Yeah, I like to see it. And they got him involved in the red zone too, which is something that's big for fantasy. He got both those touchdowns this past week in the red zone. Etienne was on the field more, but when it mattered in the red zone, it was James Robinson. I think that they're both going to be startable throughout the season. Trevor Lawrence should be able to continue to build upon what we saw. Christian Kirk involved. I like what we saw from this offense against what is a really good front seven for the Washington football team, or the Washington Commanders, or the Redskins, whatever the hell you want to call them. But they do have a pretty good defense. Jeff, what do you think about what we saw from James Robinson?
I think last week you had a guest on your show, kind of looked like me, that said he was fading ETN because the number 1 running back was going to be a guy named James Robinson. So I was kind of, I was like, that guy sounds really smart.
That guy is pretty smart. He's probably got a cool app too.
You know. But man, I mean, there's just something about certain guys, kind of like the build of Saquon. You kind of knew if that guy's able to get their body together, they just have the type of body that's just built to be a running back. And when I look at James Robinson, that's what I saw. And just to see how Doug Peterson was still looking at using him in that running back one spot, it just, just let me know when a coach is like, this is my guy, even though I got ETN to come out of the backfield to, catch the ball and everything else. It let me know that this dude is just one of those guys that overcomes odds, that just has a body that responds well to injury and is able to get back. And he's just one of those guys that won't lose. So I'm really glad that he was able to come back. I'm hoping it stays consistent. I believe it will. That's one thing he is. When he is healthy, he's a consistent back. So, I got him in one of my leagues for $1 in a auction draft. So I am really, really happy about that purchase.
Yeah, absolutely. Jeff, let's move on to your surprise here. What's your last surprise for the night?
Well, Zach, I have a bunch of them, and I forgot what it was. So I'm gonna need you to guide me.
I listen.
What?
I'm gonna answer this one for you because it's mostly everyone's surprise from this week, and it happened in the most recent game.
My Seahawks winning.
You're gonna get your fan card pulled. How are you not still celebrating? I would.
Jeff was like, Russ
be hungover from the
lost,
celebration.
Russ lost. What is happening?
I was delirious with that win, man. Our defense actually looked better than I thought they would. Even on that touchdown to Jerry Jeudy, that rookie was close to actually intercepting that ball. So it's a love-hate thing because I still love Russ, but just to see the Hawks come out like that, man. So surprised and happy for Geno Smith as well. Just a nice controlled game, which is honestly what I believe that Pete Carroll wanted Russ to do. He didn't need him to cook all the time, just hit the open guy. And, we didn't really have a line that supported Russ like this. The line actually looked good. So I just don't know if it was an off night for Denver and just such a adrenaline-filled night for Seattle. We'll continue to see what happens, but I feel pretty good about having a decent finish in the NFC West right now. I'll just put it like that. We're currently in first place.
I was going to say, yeah, you guys are, first place.
Yes. So
yeah. The Seahawks came out. They looked good. Geno looked good as well, which I thought was big. The defense came up with a couple of red zone fumbles as well at the goal line there. So that was something to look forward to. And as you said, your rookie corners, although they weren't able to completely shut out Sutton and Jeudy, they were stuck to them for most of the night.
Yeah.
So I was surprised by how the team looked. DK Metcalf had about a 25% target share from what I remember. Something to also note is that DK should be okay this year. Nothing to, panic about. Tyler Lockett, I think he was around 14%. So a little lower. He's going to be inconsistent this year without Russ. But the Seahawks overall, they won a game they weren't supposed to. So I'll let Jeff have that one.
I'm still sore from celebrating.
What a win! That's great to see. I mean, they wrote Geno off, but he didn't write back.
Exactly.
That was ice cold, baby. I love it.
Yes, and unfortunately, Russ had to ride on back to Broncos country.
Yeah, you got to go back to Cringeville to do something cringy like he does all day long.
Exactly, man. Exactly. Oh my gosh! But yeah, I'm still celebrating. Still got my colors on too.
Good on you for not booing him like the rest of the fans.
Yeah.
I mean, that's come on, man. You know, it's like, what are you gonna boo the guy for? I mean,
Exactly.
I throw roses at any human's feet that brought my guys a Super Bowl. You know what I mean? No matter where he went in life. So
That's it. That's
shout
it.
out, shout out,
think
shout
it
out,
was
Cringy Wilson.
there it is. I think it was a psychological thing, but I'm really hoping, that they, if he comes back there again, they do not do that again. That wasn't cool. Yeah.
Yeah. While I have some internet connection here, let's end the show off. A nice quick show here, talking about some week one surprises. So I hope you guys enjoyed. You can tune in again next week. We'll have another show. You can tune into Zach's show. That'll be dropping Thursday, so it'll already be out on the Fantasy Football Network by the time this show comes out. So go check that out. And as we talked about throughout the show, go check out Jeff's app, the media app.
Please.
Available on the App Store. It's going to be great. There's a lot of big things in the works for it. So go get it. Get in early. Go play around with it. Know which of our takes you agreed with the most, which you disagreed with. As I said, thank you guys both for joining. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. And we'll see you again next week.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, sir. Take it easy, man.